What's up, Green Bay Packers fans? Welcome back, and as always, thank you for joining me. My name's Paul Brettel. Today we're here to discuss my 4 X factors for the Packers matchup on Sunday with the Chicago Bears. 2 on the offensive side of the ball and 2 on the defensive side of the ball. But first, hit like on the video, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. You can find all my work over at Packers Wire. You can follow me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel. So as I said, let's dive into my X factors. We all know that the stars of this Green Bay Packers team, David Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander, Preston Smith, Jordan Love, we all know that those guys have to have big games throughout the course of the season if the Packers are going to put themselves in positions to consistently win football games. But each week there are the X factors, the guys who maybe don't quite fit into that star category on this Packers team, but the ones whose play on the field is going to carry a big weight in the outcome or in determining the outcome of the upcoming game. So that's who we're here to discuss. First up, TJ Slayton along the interior defensive line. As Matt LaFleur said earlier in this week, the Bears are going to run the ball. The Packers know that. They do have DJ Moore at receiver, who they added this offseason. They, of course, have Darnell Mooney returning as well. But this is a Bear team that wants to run the ball and is going to try to run the ball. And they were very, very good at doing so last year. Justin Fields, that's the quarterback, rushed for over 1,100 yards last season. Khalil Herbert averaged 5.7 yards per rush, the second highest average in football in 2022. They also drafted Roschon Johnson in the 4th round out of Texas during this most recent NFL draft. That's what they're going to want to do. The Packers, step one, or the biggest key to slowing this Bears offense down, is going to be stopping that aspect of it. And in doing so, if they can, it's going to put the Bears offense in predictable passing situations, going to put them behind the sticks. It's going to force Justin Fields to beat this Packers defense with his arm, assuming that they can keep him in the pocket. So it's a really, really big component to this game. Kenny Clark said on Monday when we were talking with him, it's priority number 1 to stop this Bears defense. And what's one of the best ways to stop the run? Consistent pressure from the interior, right where TJ Slayton is going to be lined up. I've talked about on here several times over the last month. I've been impressed with this play of the interior defensive line. TJ Slayton is no exception to that. He has looked very, very good this summer, not only holding his own, or more than that, I should say, creating a steady push against the run game, but he's been able to get after the quarterback as well. As a whole, this interior defensive line unit has looked a lot faster. Slayton's presence in the middle has given Kenny Clark more opportunities to line up at defensive end for more one-on-one opportunities. We've seen more post-snap movement from this unit as well, stunts to help create some confusions and chaos for the offensive line, create some one-on-ones, create some free pass rush opportunities. So all of those are changes that we've seen throughout the course of the summer that makes this interior line unit look different than what we've seen in years past. Kenny Clark didn't specify that anything that I just mentioned are some of the changes that have undergone this summer, but he did say that watch the film after the game, and this run defense unit is going to look different this year compared to what we've seen in years past. So TJ Slayton, one, again, to create that steady push in the run game. The quickest way to wreck a play in football, whether it's a run play or a pass play, is with quick pressure up the middle. Also, a part of Slayton's responsibilities, he's going to be taking on double teams. So there's going to be times where we might not see his presence on the stat sheet, but if he's taking on double teams, if he's occupying space, his teammates are going to know that he's on the field, because that's going to free them up. It's going to keep the linebackers at the second level free to fill gaps or to take on the ball carrier. Kenny Clark at defensive end, Devontae Wyatt at defensive end, the edge rushers, it's going to give them some one-on-one opportunities as well. So TJ Slayton, he's going to have the opportunity to really make a huge mark and leave his impact on this game. X factor number 2, tight end Luke Musgrave. So there's a few reasons for this. One, his big playability in the passing game, and that becomes especially more critical now that we know the Packers are going to be without Christian Watson. Luke Musgrave has the ability, of course, to line up in line as a traditional tight end, but we're going to see him in the slot. We're going to see him out on the boundary. Has the ability to stretch the field, take cornerbacks vertical when lined up outside, stretch the middle of the field down the seam when he's lined up in the slot, be a big target over the middle of the field, which we know Jordan Love is going to target a lot more this season. It's a key component of the Matt LaFleur offense. We've seen him going there often over the summer. So there's that aspect of it. There's also a Christian Watson-like aspect that Luke Musgrave brings to the tight end position with his speed, with his size, with his athleticism, and that his presence helps create opportunities for others. And I've talked about with Christian Watson before the gravity that he has, the tension that he draws from opposing defenses, the additional spacing he's able to create, especially underneath if he's trying to stretch the field vertically. We hope that Luke Musgrave can have a similar presence about him on the football field at the tight end position. So all of those aspects, of course, are going to help hopefully open up the passing game. Again, not only big play potential that Luke Musgrave can bring, but also the trickle-down effect and the opportunities that can open up for other pass catchers within this offense. Also, an important part of playing tight end, as we know, the blocking component of it. Without Christian Watson, I won't be surprised if we see the Bears really trying to shrink the field, trying to condense things, playing closer to the line of scrimmage in an effort to take away the run game, take away the quick passing game. If we go back to last season, when Aaron Rodgers was at quarterback, before Christian Watson's coming out party, his breaking out game against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 10, that's how opposing defenses played this Green Bay Packers offense. They weren't afraid of getting beat over the top, so they condensed the field. They played closer to the line of scrimmage, made running the ball much more challenging, made the executing on the quick passing game a lot more difficult because there just wasn't as much space for those yards after the catch opportunities. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago deploys something similarly, because as I'll get to here in a minute, as I've talked about previously, success on the ground feels like a must for this Green Bay Packers offense. So they're going to force Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Malik Heath, Samori Toure, Romeo Doubs to make them push the ball. I'm guessing they're not going to want to give up those easy completions and yard after the catch opportunities to them. So with that, if the box is more crowded, there's more guys near your line of scrimmage, it's obviously going to be an added emphasis on blocking. And Luke Musgrave's biggest impact, as we all know, it's going to come in the passing game early on. But he's a tight end in the Matt LaFleur offense. He's going to have to be able, or he's going to be asked to block, and hopefully he can do his best to hold his own. As one would expect at a position that comes with a steep jump from college to the NFL, with responsibilities such as blocking that comes with a very steep learning curve, he's had some ups and downs. He's taken his lumps as a blocker this season, so I'm going to be really curious to see how he holds his own in that capacity. But from a pass protection standpoint, if he's asked to do that at all, obviously important to give Jordan Love time. And again, the run game is going to be so important for this Packers offense to keep them ahead of the sticks. Again, more on that in a second. But Luke Musgrave, there's going to be times where he's going to be asked to make some blocks to help seal some edges off for the ball carrier to get outside, or create some running lanes inside for the running backs to get to. So going to be an important aspect of this game for him outside of just his pass catching presence. And one other note I'll make on this, Matt LaFleur spoke about earlier this week how he's really, really impressed with this Bears defense from last season and their ability to scheme up pressures, whether that's through blitzes, whether it's through stunts and post-snap movement, but their ability to get after the quarterback. So something else to keep our eyes on, and again, something else that only adds an emphasis to the importance of the blocking ability, not only for the offensive linemen, but for the Packers tight ends and for the running backs as well. My third X factor, Keisean Nixon. This is Nixon's first time being the guy in terms of on the defensive side of the ball. He is the Packers' go-to nickel cornerback option. It's been that way since day one of OTAs. And while he's filled in, last season he filled in there for the Packers during stretches, had some snaps there during his time with the Raiders as well. Like I said, this is his first time being the guy as a starter on the defensive side of the ball. And he's going to have some tough challenges. He's going to have to go up against Darnell Mooney at times. Last season, Mooney played 60% of his snaps from the slot. He's a high-volume target on this Bears offense. He can win inside. He can win outside, attacking the short and intermediate parts of the field. And he brings yards after the catch potential. Then there's DJ Moore. He's primarily a boundary target, but about roughly 1/3 of his career snaps have come from the slot as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that number increase on Sunday in an effort to, maybe not line him up against Jair Alexander as often or against Rasul Douglas as often on the boundary. And we saw it last season. If you're the quarterback and you have the option to target Jair, Rasul, or Keisean Nixon, we saw quarterbacks trying to go after Keisean Nixon quite often from the slot. And again, last season he was able to hold his own, gave up a high completion percentage, which isn't all that uncommon when playing inside, but he's a physical player, he's a sound tackler, he was able to limit yards after the catch, and that's going to be an important part of this game. Again, he's the guy on the defensive side of the ball in the nickel cornerback position, and he's going to have some tough matchups having to go up against Darnell Mooney as well as DJ Moore at the receiver position. Lastly, A.J. Dillon. We'll talk about the run game now. As I alluded to, it's going to be so important for the Packers to find success in this area. I talked about it on yesterday's video as well. So in short, it keeps them ahead of the sticks. If they're able to find consistent success on the ground, keeps them out of second and long, third and long situations. And those are obvious passing downs. That then allows the defense to pin its ears back, really get after the quarterback, allows the secondary to play more aggressively. There's just a trickle-down effect that makes everything for the Packers offense all the more challenging, especially with a first-time starting quarterback and a young wide receiver group, a young tight end group that's missing its star player in Christian Watson. So success on the ground is going to be incredibly important for this Packers team. And also, if we look at last season, this is a Bears defense that was not very good at all at defending the run. They were one of the worst in football, as were the Green Bay Packers on that side of the ball. But it's also an area of this Bears team that the Packers should have the opportunity to exploit as well. With Watson being out, we've seen in the past that the Packers, when shorthanded at the receiver position, they've leaned on Aaron Jones heavily in the passing game. I've referenced on yesterday's video the 2019 game against Dallas, 2019 again against the Kansas City Chiefs when the Packers were without Devontae Adams, 2021 against Arizona when they were very shorthanded at receiver. Aaron Jones was the go-to guy in the passing game in each of those three games. He had 21 receptions over that three-game span, I think just over 300 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and for what it's worth, the Packers were 3-0. So it's very possible that along with Romeo Doubs on Sunday, Aaron Jones could be the secondary target in the passing game for the Packers. And that doesn't mean he's not going to be utilized in the run game at all, of course. He's still going to have those opportunities as a ball carrier. But if he's taking on a larger role in the passing game, that balance between him and Dillon, I imagine, is going to shift, and they're going to have to rely on A.J. Dillon more in terms of carrying the ball and being the traditional running back, taking the handoffs out of the backfield. If Jones is going to be utilized more as a pass catcher. So again, that's why Dillon's role in Sunday's game is going to be so important. And that isn't to say, again, if Christian Watson was available, that Dillon wasn't going to be a factor. I just went over the importance of the run game, but we could see Dillon taking on more carries given the outlook of the receiver room right now versus if Watson was available, which is why he's my one of my X factors for Sunday's game, because of the importance that he plays and his role potentially increasing if Jones takes on more wide receiver responsibilities. A.J. Dillon's coming off what he even acknowledges is a down season for him. He averaged fewer yards per carry, just over 4 for the season, when his career average had been about 4.5. Forced fewer missed tackles, went from ranking 7th in yards after contact average to 20th. So overall, from a number standpoint, took a step back last season. And in his own words, he was trying to be too perfect out there. Whereas this season, his word or his emphasis is on dominance and playing with a lower pad level, something that he, running backs coach Ben Sermons, Matt LaFleur, offensive coordinator Adam Stenovich, have all been focusing heavily on this offseason. So something to keep our eyes on. But there you have it. Those are my 4 X factors for the Packers matchup with the Chicago Bears. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Hit like on the video. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. You can find all my work over at Packers Wire, and you can follow me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel. So until next time, friends, take care, stay safe, and as always, go Pack Go.